Welcome. I'm Bev Adams. I own an independent paper crafting business showcasing products from Stampin' Up! I made this card with products from Stampin' Up! And I sell these products and also a few items to make crafting more convenient. I have the free detailed directions for this project on my website. You'll also find links, and if you click those links, it'll take you to my online store at Stampin' Up! You'll see where to find all of that at the end of this video, so don't worry about taking notes. It's time to put stamps, ink, and paper together. I made a similar card with the same stamp set. So on this one, lined up the stamps with the dies. So if you actually put the stamps on the die and then pick them up with a block, I just wanted you to know that you can have a piece that's stamped and embossed and die cut. And you can do all three of those leaves at the same time. This card I want to focus on the wet wipe technique. It's also known as the baby wipe technique. My cardstock is copper clay, standard card base of 5.5 by 8.5. Scored at 4 1/4. This is the small layer, 2 3/4 by 4 1/4, mostly so I can cut these pieces. I have 3 pieces of the basic beige, and I have 1 layer of early espresso, and I'm going to use this both for the border and also for cutting out my leaves, and an envelope. So I'm going to start off by doing my stamping. So you want, I don't know, a plate. I've got window sheet here, and you want a wet wipe. And I think you can do it with just 1 layer of wet wipe. You can use 2 or 3 if you want. And I want to make this fairly large. So I'm going to fold it in half. And I have ink refills with copper clay and early espresso. Mostly I want copper clay, so I'm going to just drip in a fairly large area because one of these stamps is pretty large. And then I want to fill in a little bit with the early espresso. And if you have white areas, that's totally fine. Because what we're going to do is we're going to be inking our stamp just like you would with a stamp pad, but you do want to move it around a little bit to fill in those white areas. And I'm also going to want to cut my greeting, so I'm going to leave room for my greeting here. Look at all the variation. And then I'm also going to stamp this stamp with that same inking. And of course, if you want to stamp your envelope, you may. And I think I'm going to stamp with my leaf in the center this time on the back flap. And you could make quite a few cards with this. If it gets a little weak, you can always add more ink refill. But if you use it too many times, it starts getting muddy and it's all the same color. So when you see that, it's time to get another wet wipe. I'm going to use this as a thank you card. So on this card with the large leaf, I'm going to stamp thank you. And I almost forgot I want to do my ribbon. And you probably want to do this fairly early so that it has time to dry. I'm getting about 12 inches of ribbon, and I'm putting it on this ink. I'm going to use a spoon to just kind of rub and pick up some of that ink, and hopefully without getting my fingers too inky. And we'll let that dry for a little bit. So did I even tell you the name of this stamp set? I don't think I did. This is Changing Leaves. This is an online exclusive, and this is the Changing Leaves dies. This is actually a hybrid, so you get the embossing folder and the dies together, and with the bundle you get all three of these. So I've got my number 1, my number 2 die cutting, my cut up plate. So, and I do want my thank you to be kind of on the end a little bit. And this has that nice stitching. And now that that's disconnected, I can cut this leaf out. And you may need to move your cardstock around so that you can get your die all the way on the plate. And it looks like I didn't get all of my stem, but I'm going to be covering that up anyway, so I'm okay with that. And I wanted to do a little bit more die cutting. From this piece, I'm going to be cutting all of these little individual leaves. And I don't want them near the edge because I'm going to keep this as a frame. And I may not use all of these. This is probably more than I need. So don't throw this away. We want to use that. We want to use those same dies with the copper clay. And one more job. So I'm going to do some embossing with that embossing folder. So I just need the number 1 platform, not the number 2 die cutting or either one of the clear plates, but this gray number 4 plate. I have the one last piece of the basic beige and my embossing folder. This is that big, almost 6 by 6, 6 by 6 1/4 is what it is. So we're putting our cardstock in the middle of the folder. That goes on the number 1 plate and cover it up with a gray plate. Anytime you're running through this, we're making a sandwich with layers, and your die cutting, your cardstock, your embossing folders goes in the center of this sandwich. Okay, I think we're finally putting it together. I've got a couple of oopsies. I cut this off the edge a little too close, but it will be absolutely fine. You just watch. All I have to do is find all my pieces. Okay, so this piece goes on our card front. but we're going to be putting it onto that frame here. And just in case I got glue where the holes are, I'm going to get my silicone mat out. No problem. And then I'm going to put this on my card front. And I'm doing an oopsie right now, but I've got time. So on this card, I put my ribbon around this layer. On this one, I'm going to do it around both. And so before I glue that down, I'm going to set that in there. And I'm just tying a knot. And I want my knot down at this bottom area. And I don't know how to tie any ribbon without my third hand. I'm going to put dimensionals on this piece. I'm putting this over toward the right. Dimensionals can go on this. And I'm going to cover up that. Now I'm going to, so this is kind of going under the ribbon. So then I just need to decide which of these leaves to use. So most of these are all light and delicate and detailed. And I'm going to do myself a favor and have these, put them on the silicone mat, and I guess I'll go ahead and put all of them on here and decide how I'm going to do it, because you want to let the glue dry a bit on these. Anytime you've got such fine lines, these thin areas, if you use the liquid glue, do yourself a favor and put the glue on, let it dry before you try and glue it, before you put the cardstock together, because otherwise this glue could seep out and then you have a bigger mess. I did tell you earlier, I'm not demonstrating it very well, but when you use the glue, if you've got delicate areas, if you put the glue bottle down and squeeze it gently just until the glue comes out, and then back up. So glue down, squeeze, glue down, squeeze, let go, glue down, squeeze. If you take your time, it'll be nice and neat. I tend to go fast, but doing that same basic thing. This glue is really quite strong once it dries, and so you don't need a lot. You do not need to cover the whole thing. Just a few dots here and there. While those are drying, I'll put my inside in. So this has a little bit larger border. I have a 1/4 inch all the way around. And let's see. Putting way more leaves on this card than I did on my other one. So I just have 2 left over. And there it is. And this one has, you can see that it's a lot lighter. This will probably dry lighter, but I think I also wiped off some of the extra ink with the wipe on that one. Here is the web address for this project, where you'll find the free detailed directions and links for the products I used. Just click the links and you'll be taken to my online store at Stampin' Up! Click Home near the top of my page and you'll find lots of resources. Under Shop, you can find the products I offer to make crafting more convenient, how to get free products with my frequent shopper rewards, and a link to my online store at Stampin' Up! Click Inspiration to scroll all my projects back to 2011, most with detailed directions and videos. Though the products in those older projects have been retired, you may find techniques, layouts, or color combinations to inspire you today. If you're new to stamping, you might want to look at the basics. You'll find how to cut card bases and layers, and some of my favorite tools. Under Organization, you'll find lots of free resources such as catalog tabs, labels and case inserts, color tools, and much more. More organization means more time for stamping. You can learn about my Evernote notebook. I have a note for every current product that Stampin' Up! Has for sale right now. It really makes finding just exactly what you want very easy. And you can create your own notebook and search through all of the things that you own to find just what you need. Come stamp with me here in Ventura County, California, or get the best deal of all and join my team of crafters. The team is called SIP Together, and it stands for Stamps, Ink, and Paper Together. Be sure to subscribe to my website and on my YouTube channel. I'd love to hear your comments. Thanks for joining me. Talk to you soon.